Hello crafty friends, welcome back, or if you're finding me for the first time, welcome to the channel. My name is Silja and this is Hanging On by a Thread, which is my podcast about knitting, my knitting exploits, adventures that I get up to. I am located in circa middle of Norway, which is in the northern hemisphere, and we are enjoying winter right now, so that is obviously perfect knitting season. Out there on other forgotten social networks, I go by the handle of @Silmoa, so if you want to look me up there, I very sporadically post stuff on Instagram, and I try to keep my Ravelry projects library up to date, so you can always keep tabs on what I'm knitting on, what I'm casting on there, if that's what you like. There is also a Ravelry group that is pretty much nothing much going on in it, but for the future purposes, maybe knit-alongs and stuff will take place there and on Instagram. So yeah, oh, also I try to divide the podcast up into themed chapters, which will be linked in the description, also on the timeline on the progress bar in the player on YouTube. And as usual, links to patterns and just a list of all the stuff that I mentioned will be in the description box. So, hi. That was it. I'm pretty chuffed that I managed to record today. It is. Is it Wednesday? Yes, it's Wednesday. The 20. It's the Wednesday, the 22nd of December. So we are in the final day of winter solstice. So happy solstice, everybody. I hope you are making it through these shortest days of the year. Well, if you're in the northern hemisphere anyways. Days here are now like 4.5 hours long with daylight. And so yeah, it's pretty miserable. It's important to cuddle up and be cozy at home, and I totally feel like today's mug, Hufsa, I don't know the English name for that, but it's from the Moomin, you know, the sort of tragic and sad creature that is attracted to light. And she spread, yeah, it's terrible. I find her extremely sad. And yeah, commiserating with Hufsa, longing for light and warmth and never finding it. Moomins it's pretty dark, if you've ever seen it. It's a pretty bleak and dark show. I've watched a lot of it lately because the 5-year-old is a bit getting into it. But yeah, speaking of 5-year-olds, he's sat there over in the chair being quiet. So let's hope that lasts. He was sent home with a fever yesterday from Barnehage, and there you go. So there might be the occasional, "Mama, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? Why are you speaking English?" But let's try to make it happen anyways. Okay, since the last time, the progression of the show usually is like this, isn't it? First I tell you what I'm wearing. So I actually made a note of this. This is a knit from 2016. It is kind of a dress. Well, it's more like a tunic length. I guess you could call it a dress, but it just goes to mid-thigh on me. So I would definitely not wear it without tights or pants or trousers. So, excuse me. It is the Baggy Wave dress by Pickles, which is a yarn store in Oslo. They do also publish a lot of patterns and fairly like easy, yeah, I think their target is the newer knitters, like all of the people started knitting the last decade, basically. And yeah, they publish lots of quite cool modern patterns. And this one is knit up in Pickles Tweedy yarn. It's a rusty brick red. No surprise there. I mean, that's kind of well within my comfort zone of colors. Yeah, it's just it's a worsted yarn. It knit out very quickly, this, in 2016. I think, yeah, I was knitting it while I was pregnant with the first one. So there, it's very roomy and extremely comfy. So I knit the size large and it is very stretchy. So I had a huge pregnancy belly at one point in this dress, and it's so comfy and cozy. And since today we're just slouching at home, trying to keep warm because cold outside, it seemed like a perfect fit. And I didn't get to show this yet, so practically new knit. 3/4 length sleeves. It has some neat details. It has like the sleeve is, I don't remember what that's called, but you knit one purl row and then you fold it back so you can get like this flat sleeve thing. Don't remember what that's called. Should probably. And then I've done a 3-needle bind off on the top of the shoulder here. So yeah, basically it's bottom up. It just has a rolled hem, so it's just straight, and then you knit this pattern, which I probably did a couple of mistakes in the pattern along the way, but it's fairly, it's not noticeable. And then just kind of a rolled neckline as well. I think I remember I decreased an extra round here because the neckline was getting quite wide and I wanted it to be really cozy and snuggly up around my neck. Yeah. So that is the Baggy wave dress by Pickles, circa 2016. I was finished with it in 2016, anyways, in February it says in my notes. And for this dress, size large, quite roomy and quite long, and I did have like 2 balls left over of the yarn that I had bought for the size. I used 500 grams of Tweedy to knit this, so it's actually, it was pretty, no, it's not bad. It's not bad. Economical is the word I'm looking for. So that's that. Yeah, the run up to Christmas. Yeah, the run up until the holidays is every year I feel it's like unexpected the amount of stress, even for somebody who doesn't really follow the whole holiday cheer. I don't try a lot. I don't make much of an effort for decorating or anything, but as I said, I'm trying to be a bit better at that. So each year now we hit the shops before Christmas and you know, buy 1 or 2 kitschy looking Christmas decorations. This year that sheep in the background made it home with me, 50% off, yay. What can't go wrong with a woolly sheep with a Christmas hat on, or Santa hat, I guess you call them. So that is nice. I've got some, I do take the advantage to go to the like the plantation, oh, the plantation, that sounds bad. Well, florist, where you buy greenery and plants and things, and get myself some Christmassy flowers. Got my, I don't know, but they're coming out now, hibiscus and yeah, yeah, I can't remember the names of these things. My mom's a gardener, she would know the names. I just forget. So yes, try to be cozy up with some Christmas cheer in the background today. 5-year-olds throwing me some weird looks now. Oh, okay. Recorded with a live studio audience. Okay. So what did I do since last time? Yes, I do have some finished objects to show. The jackets that I were knitting for my nieces have already been gifted. They were not strictly Christmas presents, they were birthday presents because they had their birthdays in the beginning of December, so they have already been gifted and very well received. I hope they will get a lot of use from them. They're fairly loose fitting cardigans, so maybe they can stretch a few years, I hope. So very happy about that. That purple one turned out beautiful. I put on some bright yellow buttons on it and pink buttons on the mint and pink one. Mint, blue and pink. I can, if it's not too terrible, try to stick some photos up here of them. I did manage to snap some really terrible photos of them to put in Ravelry just because I had to document them and just kind of log it. But yeah, terrible photos. But the product turned out quite well. And I finished the Buness hats, toques. Is it a toque? Didn't we go through this last time? But yes, anyways, they have been blocked. And they now look very neat and nice. And I've blocked, but I haven't fastened all the threads yet. So I just need to snip those off, really. Couldn't be arsed doing it before the recording. Anyways, they're just, basically I just need to snip them off. And they turned out 3 different sizes. So this is the first one that there was some feedback in the comments from last episodes whether to redo or keep it as it was. I'm lazy and I didn't think it looked that bad in the end, so I kept it as it was. The decreases are not done correctly, but really it has its own effect. So, and as you can see, the toque. Tam! Not a toque, it's a tam! Yay! Applause for Silja finally getting it right. So, you know, they're quite cute. That's a look, isn't it? But you could pull it down and it's... So now the size is a bit better. This one as well has been sized, has been blocked pretty neat. I think this might be the one I'm gonna give to my mom, just because I mean she's going grey, I guess, but her hair is still quite dark and curly, so I think that would look nice with this light color, and it is long enough for her to pull it down over ears and still have enough room for said curl. I do not have that issue, as you can see. But that's how it turned out blocked. And again, finishing. There are steps of finishing. The first level of finishing is, you know, completing the knitting, and then it's just fastening threads, possibly, then blocking, and then maybe snipping the threads off, or maybe I should have fastened, snipped, and then blocked. Not sure. But And the third one that was on the needles last time has been finished and blocked, because of obviously I blocked them all at the same time. That's the green one. And that's how that turned out. The crown. I think that's quite nice. So might keep this one for me. I think it's the biggest one now, in the end it's the biggest size, so it would be, could pull it down quite low. Or toque. No, tam, Silja. It's toque. What's a toque anyways? Don't remember. But it's quite big. So I've got my 3 Buness Tams. That's cool. Yes, I did mention last time, these 2 are done in Finull, Rauma Finull, both of them, in various shades. There's some shades of grey and green, and this one as well is Finull. And this one, base colors are Finull, and the contrast, the pattern colors are Jameson Spindrift. Jamesons of Shetland. So 3, that's how it goes with me. When I find a hat pattern I like, and especially with the Colourwork hats, I do 1, 2, 3 in rapid succession. It happened with the Kellister hat by Gudrun Johnson as well. I made 2 versions of that. And yeah, it's just like, I want to see the next color option, and it's satisfying because you make one thing, it's all in a round, it's fairly small. You can do it in 2-3 days if you're motivated, or a week, let's say, if you're working in between those things. And then you have a finished thing, and you get to test out some Colourwork combos as well that you can have in mind for a larger sweater project or a vest or something more, and you won't have that terrible thing of having completed a mitten or a mitt. And if you're like me and you don't immediately cast on the second mitt, it might just stop with there. And don't have that problem with hats. So I'm really pleased with that. I have yet another finished project to show you that was completely unplanned, and right now I don't remember why we had a really cold period at the beginning of December, and I was just so cold, I was freezing, so obviously I cast on socks. So since last time I managed to cast on and bind off a pair of socks. These have not been blocked, they cast off yesterday or the day before, I think. These are the Taival Socks by Finull. And I've had them on my knit list for a while, and because they're big, cozy DK weight socks, so they knit up fairly quickly. And I was popping by casually by one of my local yarn shops in Trondheim, and everybody's been on about this new sock yarn from Rauma. I'm of course talking about, let me see if I can find a ball band, the Vandre. Ooh, come on. Vandre by Rauma, and it is 100% Norwegian wool. It just says 100% wool here, but I know that it is a mix of breeds, so it's the standard white sheep and mixed in some pelt wool, which makes it more rustic and a lot stronger because it is a longer staple, and yeah. So they look quite furry, fuzzy. I don't know if you can see that. And when you're knitting, it's very hard and it feels a bit ropey. It is a 2-ply, but it's very ropey. So it's definitely like, I wouldn't say it's a high twist either because it doesn't feel very tight, but it's, I don't know anything about spinning, by the way, but you can see it's not very tightly plied. So the strength of this is supposed to come from the content of pelt wool. And you're supposed to wash these then at 40 degrees centigrade in the washing machine on like your wool cycle, but with heat to wash out spin oil and have it soften. So that is the next step for them. I just wanted to show you the before on how it looks. Just off the needle. These are not blocked. They have, of course, they will probably be washed without fixing the threads because that's my style. And yeah, and they fit me, right? That's good. But the typical thing that happens is new pattern, new yarn. So my first sock is slightly looser gauge than the second one, and you can see that it has, I can block them to match in size, but it is slightly bigger. This is the second sock and that's the first sock. But yeah, I really like this pattern. Sorry, Elin? Ja?
Jeg vil ha melk.
Du vill ha milk? Ja. Quick intermission, the boy wants milk. Milk has been provided, so let's get on about the socks. So yeah, if you've been watching before, you also know that I'm not a sock knitter, but I do usually know how to follow a pattern, and I think I did a decent job. It wasn't hard at all. I do enjoy the technical turning the heel bit is very satisfying. It's always the second sock that's the problem, and I think I found out how I need to do this sock game if I'm going to join this sock game. I can't have a sock on the go casually, like, oh, I just have a sock popped in my bag and something to knit on. That's just not how I knit. And I managed to finish these because I didn't knit on anything else until I was completed with these. And that was fine. It was fine, really. I wasn't bored, and I didn't have... The cold was motivating me to get these done as well. And let's talk a bit about... So there is quite a long... oh, what's that called? The top bit. The cuff, I guess. And then the leg. Yeah, so let's call this a cuff. And then a long leg of just simple cable. It's a very simple cable over 4 stitches, and it goes all the way around. And then down you do, don't know the name of this type of heel reinforcement, but it's knit one, slip one, and then purl back. This is a very standard thing. And then you do a bit of shaping on the heel with some short rows and decreases. And then you pick up for the gusset and start decreasing here, and then you start decreasing for the toe, which has its own chart, so that you get the symmetry here. And then you do a Kitchener stitch for the toe, so you get this nice round toe, which I appreciate, having learned, like, the only socks that I was ever taught to do was the standard 2x2 rib, cast on it for as long as you want, then you do kind of a heel flap gusset heel flap, and you graft and then you pick around. I don't know how to explain it, but it's the old-fashioned Norwegian heel, grandma's heel. You can find instructions on like what's it called? It's like the Women's Association of Norway, Husfliden. Yeah. Anyways, but that's a different style heel, so it's nice to try something else. I really like this heel construction. It makes for a nice like rounded heel here. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but it rounds it off here so it's not flat and you don't get that lump. And for the old Norwegian you tend to get a row here, because then you kind of just knit like you kind of just, when you have the heel flap, you kind of join the heel flap like that and it's like flat there, but then you have to pick up all around, so you get this edge right under your heel that I find slightly uncomfortable. But this is a nice rounded heel, and you get this here, which is also on the standard sock. You just kind of, you decrease until there's like a hat, you know, decrease until you have 4 stitches, and so they get very pointy, which I don't like. But since you do the kitchen stitch, they look a bit more normal. They go, yeah, up to my over the midway point of the calf, so almost up to my knee. They could be longer, but I think this will be an excellent length for wearing in some winter boots. You know, like skinny jeans and these socks sticking up over the boot. Very cozy, very warm. Or just for lounging at home. And I walk around in my socks a lot, so the previous pair I did knit, the gauge was a bit loose and it had, the yarn was not reinforced, so after like 4 I say 4 uses, but I'm a heavy, I have a heavy step, I guess. I totally wore them out. There was then on the ball of the foot large holes. So I'm curious to see how this wears as a house sock once I've washed them, because washing them will also strengthen them a bit, because they will, I assume they will felt a little bit, and that should tighten the fabric. So then I will block them to size after. Taival Socks by Sari Nulun. I recommend the knit. It was entertaining enough for me to actually finish a pair. Yes, socks. And that's it for finished things for this episode. Now, what am I knitting on? Now, I have cast on new things. I have not continued on my whips, so I'm pretty sure you won't see any return of neither the lace yoke or the daydreamer or any of the other knits until after New Year's, because winter's here. I just want to enjoy myself. It's going to be cozy, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna cast on lots of new things in the winter holidays. So what am I knitting on now? Let's see. First thing I cast on was for feeling a bit guilty of being a knitter and the youngest being in Barnehage with almost no knitwear, because my other one, he was that age. We were living in Spain, so I had no use for woolen knitwear in winter at all. So, and now it's now it's like necessary, and he's wearing the same little jumper. He's kind of just bursting on him. So I'm knitting a new pullover for Anton. I'm using some leftovers, or not leftovers, I just stashed yarn Finull. I cast on for Vesle Vinterfjell, which is the children's version of the Vinterfjell sweater by Skein Knits. So yeah, it's turning out quite nice. I've gone for this sort of combo. That's all that's left over from the darker blue. So there was 2 shades of blue, and these were the Colourwork and the main color. Yeah. So I have done the yoke. It's top down. This is the size 1 to 2 years. As you can see, the yoke is completed, and now it's basically just stocking it in the round until the desired length. Pick up for sleeves, same thing, and I might do it a bit longer so that it stretches out into, he'll probably be able to wear it next year as well. So that's a small sweater. The pattern is really well written, and I think I'll probably end up doing like matching sweaters for the boys. Emil has asked me to make a blue one for him. He was with me at the yarn shop and picked out the color blue he wanted, so that is lined up and ready to cast on. It's a slightly more of a commitment since he's bigger now, and I should probably size up for him as well the next knit. So Vesle Vinterfjell in an assortment of Finull colors, which, actually this blue is kind of like not vintage stash, but it's getting to be stash because it is, I think this particular shade is no longer being made because it's not even the Finull Pete, it's the Pete design. So I've heard mention by others that they feel like Finull has gotten softer somehow. So I think they're right, because this blue is the Pete design, which is essentially Finull, but it's older. It's 7-8 years old, this ball of yarn, I'm pretty sure. So that one. And this white one is a new skein of Finull that I bought, and it's so much softer. So something has happened with the production. I'm not sure. But can you sort of see that this is a bit more ropey? This camel is also the PT one. And they do look gorgeous together, don't they? So yeah, this one feels like, maybe it's just that it has got more spin oil. Maybe they gave it another wash before scanning up and sending out to customers, because people are squishing the yarn more in the store, whereas before they just kind of take what you have. There's no comparing so much. And I felt the same with the Sandnesgarn Tove, because I did buy a few skeins of it a couple of years ago. I hated knitting with it because it was so hard in my hands. I did not like the texture of it at all, and so I just avoided it for the longest time. And the other day when we were picking out the blue, I squished one of the balls that will know the skeins in the shop, and it was not at all like what I've got lingering in stash, because I couldn't stand knitting with it. So I will investigate that further. So yeah, this definitely, it does soften a lot. It softens a lot and wears really well. So Finull will wash out, and then with wear it will also soften and feel nice. I haven't had any issue with the boys saying things are itchy or anything, and they usually get this like right next to skin. Vesle Vinterfjell by Skander Knits, and I recommend it. It's a super fun yoke and quick to do. It's kind of akin to the knit for the 1-year-old is akin to the Colourwork hat. So, but I'm onto the stockinette, and we all know how I feel about stockinette plain. That, and I actually did. I haven't had a cast-on party yet, but I did cast on something new last night, and you might know what it is. I cast on the cowl I was raving about last time from the Shetland Wool Week annual for 2021. It is the Harbour Cowl. This gorgeousness there, and I have cast on to knit the small size, or not small, single is what they're calling it. So it's this one, the one that's just the one time around, and not the double, because you can knit one that is less stitches on the needles, but it's twice as long, so you repeat twice, I guess. And you can then double wrap like a snood. And then this one, which is the single. And that's the one I'm knitting. I was like, I want to knit this one. I want to do this one. These exact colors and everything. But I went on to Jameson's of Shetland website and plunked all of the colors in the basket. And I calculated that for knitting an accessory, a cowl, I couldn't really justify the price in pounds, because once you convert it to Norwegian kroner and add the import tax, yeah, no, that was a bit too steep for me for that price. So I tried my best to match these colors with what I could find from Rauma Finull, because this is a very graphic. I love the heathered colors of Shetland Spindrift, but this isn't really using so many heathered colors. There are some heathering in the greens and the blues, but they're most solid, and like the design is graphic, and that's kind of what I like. So I have matched as best as I can with Finull, and this is what I got so far. It is going to be bright. So I've gone one repeat. It is a provisional cast on that will be grafted. The end, maybe I can actually figure out how to do that well and apply that to the other lingering snood that is still not fixed. But yeah, I think so. So let's see, the colors that I needed to match was Midnight, Natural White, Nighthawk, Eggshell, Scarlet, Orchid, Mint, Crimson and Apple. So I think I've managed to do that quite well. Midnight is this Rauma 0449, which is a navy blue. I think it's called something similar to Midnight. I'm not sure. It has a name, not on the ball band. That's just a number. And of course the natural white is just the natural white from Rauma, which is 0401. Then we have the Nighthawk, which is that gorgeous kind of oily petrol color. So I just went with petrol from Rauma. That doesn't have that oily quality, but it's definitely petrol. It's definitely gorgeous. The eggshell was, I mean, it was a subtle greenish blue. So I found mint, light mint, I think it's called, on Rauma's site. The number, drumroll please, 4106. That one matched pretty nicely. And then we have Orchid, which is a pale pink. So I matched that with pale pink. I put them in the side. Pale pink 4094. And that was the Orchid. And Scarlet. Rauma has a nice assortment of colors as well. So you need 2 shades of red, which is Scarlet and Crimson. So Scarlet is this very bright orangey color, and Crimson is this deeper red. I don't know if you can see the difference very well here. Well, they look pretty similar on camera, but I'm telling you, this is bright orange and this is, oh, you can, it's a bit better here. Let's take it with a white band. Can you see the difference? No? Hope it will be more obvious once you knit it up together. They are supposed to be blending though in the pattern, so it's part of blending. And that was Scarlet and Crimson, and then you have Apple and Mint as well. So mint is mint, that's pretty decent, accurate, and Apple as well is pretty well matched with the Jameson sword. So the mint in Rauma is 4887 and the Apple is 0493. So this is a colorful, let's see if I manage to hold them up together. So here are the colors for the Harbour Cowl, and I am very excited to be knitting with such a nice array of bright, gorgeous colors. And yeah, cast that on yesterday, super happy to be knitting on it. I've tried to be festive and stuck one of my two markers on it, and this is a Christmassy mitten that I found at my yarn shop when I was there. Lovely. Yes, that's about it. What do you think? Do I have? That's it for knitting anyways. That's what I've got going on. There's nothing pressing I want to talk about on that. So to round up, I have had 2 new additions to my knitting pattern library, and I'm so happy to know that I'm not the only one that's pattern collector. And yeah, but they all are intended to be knit at some point. First thing I ordered was I got the fairy ring pattern by Katie Green. If you haven't watched her podcast, do. It's one of my favorites. It's just so, I just love hearing her talk about her process and ideas, and yes, such a talented person. So Katie she's an illustrator and she does also knitting patterns. And one of Katie's latest pattern is the fairy ring cardigan, which is a Colourwork cardigan with the fairy ring. And there is an adult version and a kids version, and I obviously want to make the kids version for my boys. And I just got the booklet. It is very nice. So there you can see the schematic. It's very nice chart for sizing. It makes it very easy to find. It's just very well laid out, the whole booklet and instructions. So I mean, how cute are the illustrations? Each page with a cute little squirrel wearing a jumper. So yes. Oh, there's even a little knitting squirrel. Look at her. Look at the squirrel knit. At some point this winter, I'm gonna make these. Yes. And I have got this one. That pile of yarn there. So I didn't have the patience to wait until February for my Marie Wallen kit to arrive. So I picked up a kit on her site for the Sinead pullover, which is the version of the does it say what it's the version of here? No, it's just a pattern direct. Well, it's a remake of a pattern I've had my eye on for a while, and since it came as a kit with all of these gorgeous colors in her British Breeds yarn, I treated myself for that. It was a lot more. it was much more affordable than the Fair Isle kit. Fair Isle Club 7 kit. So I don't feel as bad. And I've got the yarn here now. These tiny little balls. It's like 33 balls of yarn. They're 25-gram balls, obviously. So, and pretty much all the colors, I feel. A lot of them are very similar. So you get this lovely. And it's very similar. The original design is just 2 colors. So kind of like my the green, the pale green sweater with the brown. Can't even remember what I did knit before now. So clearly it's time for me to wrap up. I will definitely be talking about this again at some other point. Meanwhile, holidays are nearly upon us, and I have no idea when you will be watching this. So hopefully you're cozy up at home or at somebody's house, some loved one's house, and you know, stay safe, stay warm, stay cozy, and never mind, we're heading for year 3 of COVID. It will have to roll over and finish eventually. And winter's always hard. But we've got knitting. Don't forget you got your knitting. So, one stitch at a time. And I'll see you over the holidays. I'll try to post something before New Year's. Don't hold me to it, but no, that's only a week away. So just over New Year's then. Let's see what happens. So if you've enjoyed the episode, please hit that like button. That's always nice. Let me know in the comments what you think. I really enjoy getting comments from you because it makes it feel like people are actually watching and engaging with what you do, which is fun. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and I will hopefully see you again next time. Bye!